Hey everyone, welcome back to Garnock Reviews, where today I'm back down in the Ortega River working with Hansen Yachts based out of the Lamb's Yacht Centre. And this time we're checking out a 2005 Sea Ray Sundancer 390. At the time of shooting this video she was up for sale for $209,000. And this one really impressed me because the boat can be used for so many different reasons. It's an ideal day boat, you can use it for weekend cruising, you can use it for extended cruising, and you can even use it for something as far as fetched as a great loop. She's got a length overall of 41 foot, she's got a beam of just over 13 feet and a draft of just over 3 feet. But this is a boat that you can use in pretty much all weather. She's got the solid hardtop and she's also got those fixed screens, but she's also got the wraparound canopy that you can easily remove. So you can decide whether you want to have it fully enclosed or have it opened up and have that fresh air flowing. And as I step on board, notice the amount of handholds that's in place, including the handhold that's right above the screen itself. As much as this is a very stylish yacht, it's also a very functional and practical boat. You've got non-slip deck all the way up to the bow, and in front of the bow we've also got a large area that you can have a sun pad, but it's still got that chrome handholds down either side. So you always feel safe and secure whether you're at anchor or whether the boat's underway. And at the bow itself we've got an electric windlass. This can be operated at the bow, but it can also be operated at the helm. There's a really powerful spotlight which can be controlled from the helm. And inside the anchor locker, there's enough room in here that not only do you have access to your rope and chain, but you could easily store the bow lines in here. There's also a deck wash system that's covered in here for both rinsing off the deck, but also rinsing off the rope and chain as you bring it back in. And then as I pan the camera around, one of the design features you'll like from this one is this one's got a low air draft. So if you're worried about bridge clearance while you're cruising, this may be one to consider. And notice how solid and thick the fiberglass is, and also the wraparound windows themselves. As to the stern, we've got rod holders on either side. We've got an extended bathing platform. There's boarding access built underneath the bathing platform. There's a storage locker on the transom, you can easily put the stern lines in here. And just before you make your way into the aft cockpit, you'll see here that on the transom we've got a hot and cold shower, so that way you can rinse off if you've been in swimming or diving. And the canopy cover that covers over the aft cockpit, it can easily be removed, or you can have it opened in sections. But you do have the option of cruising with this fully enclosed. Normally I'm not a fan of hardtop cruisers like this, because normally you feel very claustrophobic. But I'm 6'2" and I had no issue with the headroom. You get plenty of natural light, there's opening hatches. And then in the aft cockpit we've got an outdoor seating area. You'll easily get 6 adults here in comfort. You've got a cockpit table in the middle. On the port side opposite, we've got an outdoor wet bar. And then I love the comfortable seating that's at the helm. For the captain you get the option of sitting down or standing up with a bolster effect. And then the seat next to it, you can easily get 1 if not 2 adults on here in comfort. And even just the attention to detail that's in all the stitching, the different accent features they put on here, just helps make it all stand out. And then when I do stand at the helm, you've got great visibility. There's not as many blind spots as you'd expect from a boat of this design. You can also clearly see through the canopy as well as through the windshield. It doesn't have that hazing and faded effect that sometimes canopies can have. This one's got a large Raymarine multifunction display in the middle. This is hooked up to the chart plotter, radar. It's also got engine instrumentation. On board you'll also find the Raymarine autopilot. You've got a Fusion stereo which you can pair with your cell phone. You get a VHF radio, and this one does have a bow thruster to help make docking easy, but also going through lock gates if you ever need to. And I like how clear the engine instrumentation is. You can just quickly glance down. You get the fuel gauge, you get pressure gauges, you get your alternator charges. Obviously you got your revs. You've then got more system monitors on the starboard side. And there is additional space still on the dash if you ever wanted to add additional electronics at a later date. And I mentioned at the start of the video you could use this for vacations or extended periods of time on board. And that's the instant feeling I got when I stepped into the lower accommodation. Most sports cruisers of this size, there's very little way in accommodation down below. But the high gloss woodwork finish, you've got great headroom in here, you get very comfortable seating. The boat just feels far more larger and more luxurious than you'd ever expect. So this is split out where you've got the master stateroom in the bow, you get the saloon to starboard, and you got the galley to port. For the galley you get good countertop space. You got a lot of storage cabinets, and these all have that push button lock mechanism. You got plenty of refrigeration options down below, including having an ice box. And even these have got a locking mechanism, so you don't need to worry about the doors popping open while the boat's underway. And notice how clean everything is. This is a boat that's fast approaching 20 years old, and it certainly doesn't feel like it. And then up top in the galley, you've actually got a built-in coffee maker that slides out like in a little tray. Underneath that you're going to see we've got the DVD player. You got opening porthole for ventilation and natural light. Then you got more storage overhead. And I just love the woodwork finish that's on here, especially as you get a close-up view at this angle. Another well thought out design is the framework that's around the 2-burner stovetop. That way pots and pans aren't going to slide off of here. We've got the large sink, and this has got an opening hatch that's straight into the trash can. And then as for the faucet's got like a shower head that's retractable. But I always find these far easier whenever you're doing the dishes in a relatively confined space. And for cooking your favourite meals, we've also got a convection microwave oven with more storage options down below. And one other hidden feature for this boat, which I think is a great use of space, is this one's actually got a TV that drops down on top of the galley, because this is opposite that saloon. So whenever you want to relax and watch a movie, it's literally a push of a button and it does it all by itself, and this drops down and you can watch the TV. But whenever the boat's underway, you can always put this back up and enjoy the additional space instead. So as I mentioned, the saloon's on the starboard side. We do have a cockpit table in here. We've got storage underneath the seats. You got more opening portholes for additional light and ventilation. This table appears to be fixed height rather than one that drops down, but that's got the added advantage of making the table stronger. And then not only do we have more storage, but in here you're going to find the satellite TV controls, the CD changer, and the stereo controls. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that underneath with the cockpit there's actually another seating area, and this converts where you can make a double berth. There's also a wraparound curtain which you can use for privacy in here and make it like 2 separate cabins. And as I make my way into this section, there's actually a good amount of headroom, and there's also good storage options in here, again with that locking mechanism. For those looking to spend more extended periods of time on board, this section would also be a good place to put storage. You could easily put different containers or holdalls or things like that, and you could even close it off if you wanted to. Behind the mirror there's even storage, and then in here we've also got access to the main breaker panel for the yacht, and this one's got the controls for both the AC and the DC. This is where you can also control the generator. There's an Onan 9 kilowatt generator, and it's got approximately 933 hours on the clock. And as I make my way through the saloon heading towards the owner's stateroom on the bow, there is a sliding sunroof overhead. And again, I like the woodwork finish that's on here. They could easily use canvas, but the woodwork's got a far better touch to it. The yacht's an undercover storage, but I'd imagine this lets in a great amount of light whenever the boat's cruising underway. So in the forward cabin you're going to find a large island berth. This is easily accessible on either side. And even this far forward on the yacht, you've still got great headroom. You've got a large hatch overhead, and this has got that sliding blind mechanism where you can have it fully closed. You can have it open with a mesh screen if you wanted to have the hatch open but not worry about bugs coming in. Or you can have it completely open. Not only do we have wraparound storage cabinets, but this one's also got a near full height hanging locker space. I like the fact that this storage is illuminated, and then for more storage there's even drawers underneath the bed itself. And you can access the heads compartment from the main saloon or from the cabin. You can do it either way, but from the cabin you get that extra privacy. But this is only for the toilet and for the sink. Because I was surprised to find that this one's actually got a separate shower compartment. And that way it just makes both options far more usable. And in the showers compartment there's actually a fiberglass moulded seat in there as well. And I should point out this one's got a freshwater capacity of 70 gallons. It's got a 42 gallon holding tank capacity and there's 275 gallons of fuel. And also I'd like to point out this yacht is fully air conditioned. And then finally I'd like to highlight the engines that's on board as I walk my way back through to the aft cockpit. As far as I'm aware, this boat is mechanically sound, but it's got great features if you ever needed to do any major repairs or upgrades in later years. The entire aft cockpit basically opens up on hydraulics. So for your day-to-day checks, it's easy enough to get down there, but if you ever needed to lift those engines, you don't have to worry about cutting away the hull or anything like that. And what you're going to find in here is a pair of Cummins. These are QSB 380 diesel engines, approximately 380 horse, and approximately just around 650 hours on the clock. Notice how clean the engines are. Notice how much access you have in here for day-to-day maintenance. Your oil and water separators. This boat's obviously lying afloat, but you can see that there's not a drop of water in the bilges. And there's no smells from the engine compartment. That includes mold, that includes any fuel, anything like that. This is a well-maintained boat that's ready to go. This one's capable of cruising probably somewhere around 20 knots, with a top end closer to 30. And as well as having the hydraulic arms holding the hatch open, you can also put a manual lever in here, so you don't need to worry about the hatch dropping down on you while you're working. You've got recent batteries installed. There's all sorts of maintenance records on board, but there's even maintenance documentation mounted to the engine room hatch cover itself. And on the hatch cover, look at the amount of sound insulation that you have. Between the large engine mounts and all the insulation on the hatch, I'd imagine this is a very quiet and comfortable boat to have running. I'd like to thank Mike once again for the opportunity to come on board and check this one out and share the video with you. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. If you can leave a comment down below. And if you haven't done so already, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, it really does make a difference. And I look forward to catching you on the next one. Thanks everyone.